Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. Welcome back to another episode. And the question today is about emotional intelligence. What is that? What does it mean? And why do we need it? And so in a world today where there's so much chaos and so much uncertainty and so much stress and pressure and different things, the negativity, how can we turn things into positivity? And so without further ado, my name is Charisse Walker, your host, and I am here with Dr. Jacqueline Campbell. And she is going to talk to us about that. But before she does, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Charisse, thank you so much for having me first for your time because our focus and our attention is the most valuable possession we have, right? And there's so many distractions out there, things that are vying for our time. So what I do is I actually spent 15 years in the mental health field helping survivors of trauma recover their nervous system. So I moved into more professional speaking on emotional intelligence and nervous system mastery. And I really have a heart to transform the perspective that we have of emotional intelligence because it's actually a very strong trait and skill that we have to build. And those that are the most fulfilled, most successful, and most peaceful in their life, they've actually built this. So it's really not a soft skill. And this is my goal is to revolutionize the idea of what emotional intelligence is and specifically for your audience, it's good news that we are more predominant to the right hemisphere of our brain, which is more emotional, more connected, and more intuitive. But women, they are able to harness this a whole lot easier than the male sex.
So interesting. A lot of things that you talked about because the tagline of this book that I used to, before I changed it, Flipping the
Mhm.
Iceberg was From Trauma to Triumph. And then I thought, well, I don't want this book to just be about trauma. So obviously, because it's not. And so I'm like, that's probably not the best title. Trauma is such a real thing. And I don't think people realize how much it affects our lives if we do not deal with that first. And like I specifically focus on relationships and how to heal yourself so that you can choose, like, be in the mental capacity to choose a good partner and then to see that. And so when you talk about trauma, like, how do you help people or what is your recommendation for people that might not realize it? Like, a good example is I told you I'm dealing with this phone call and like my blood is boiling right now. And I got
Yeah.
off the phone call and I'm like, okay, what is it that's bothering me? And I know what it is. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let it take control over it. So like simmer down now. But like, how do you help women and men even identify those triggers and that trauma?
Well, that's actually a great question. I'm so glad that you brought it up because before we hopped on and you were talking about that call that you just got off of you or your blood was boiling, I was thinking, well, I would really love to bring it up in the podcast because this is the real life, right?
Right,
I
right.
didn't know how vulnerable and how comfortable you'd be.
Mhm.
So if you'd be comfortable, we can do a quick exercise right now, actually.
Yeah.
You good
No,
with
so
that?
I sure am a real estate agent by day as well as many other things, but I have a deal that is a really good deal. The house is in pretty rough shape. And so we listed it at a price where, I mean, we said originally it'd be here, but we decided to stretch it and we're up here. We got 21 offers, some of them at or above, several significantly lower to show the reflection of the price. But somebody, they lied to get it. And before we were even under contract, they started throwing it out. There's a thing called wholesale where you have like the middleman. So they're under
Yeah.
contract and now they're trying to make money and sell it to another person. Well, it's listed on the MLS. So why people don't see that it's listed down here, they're asking like up here. And the thing that upsets me is they lied. And so we had 21 offers. My client like wanted to go with them immediately. I tried to talk him out of it, say like, hey, let's wait. Let me do some research on these people and see these. And he's like, no, 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 let's just accept it because the terms were so good. And so now, I'm getting calls from all these people that have made offers and other people like, hey, like, do you know that they've done this? And the thing is, they lied about it. And so it's like, okay, why is that triggering me? And why am I so upset? So there's a few reasons. First of all, I don't like people that lie because I was in a marriage that was full of lies. And so trigger. Second thing is that these males that think that because I'm a female, I'm gonna be this stupid blonde that, so there's an industry where women are not very predominant, and if they are, they're kinda looked down on like they're stupid, so then I'm like, "Okay, now I feel like my intelligence was not there." And third, which I think is the most that I feel like I let my client down because, I even just called him point blank and said, "Look, I'm getting contacted by multiple people. Are you gonna close or not?" "No, Sharice, I am. I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close. Thanks for checking in." There's just multiple reasons that I just like, I take my job seriously, and if I feel like I could have gotten more money for my client, that bothers me, you know? And in reality, I feel like all those people are now taking advantage of other people because there's no way that what they're selling the house for, these people are gonna lose money that end up buying it. So now I feel bad for those people too. So they're liars. So that's where I'm at with this trauma.
Right. Go ahead and, if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes, into your body. How does this situation make you feel about yourself as a person? Just one statement.
Duped.
So if you're duped, what does that mean about you?
And
Sentence.
I'm too trusting. I really wanna give people the benefit of the doubt, and once again, I've been taken advantage of.
And how's your body feel right now from 0 to 10?
I'm probably at a 9.5.
Is it getting stronger and as you're paying
Oh.
attention?
I see what you're saying. Rephrase that question.
0 to 10, how strong is it? And is it getting stronger the more you pay attention to it?
Probably a 5 right now, and no, I'm feeling like I'm swimming in an ocean, trying to stay above water.
Right. To me, I hear drowning,
Yeah.
right? Overwhelm. Now go ahead and go back to the very first time in your entire life you remember feeling like that with that statement, I'm taken advantage of.
Yeah, I've found that one.
Go ahead and open up your eyes. What came up?
That one's too personal to share, but
They usually are.
mhm.
Right. So how about we do a quick breath work exercise and then I'll just kind of guide you through. There was three different things that were coming up, but I don't want to move on to that with your body like that. It's not very fair. So go ahead and go into your body, close your eyes again. And when you take really long, slow, deep breaths in through your nose and breathe out, but visualize you blowing out the stress from your mouth, kind of like a smoke. You can even make it a color. Breathe in a color and breathe out a color. They're usually 2 different colors. A lot of people put healing with the in breath and stress with the out breath or toxic energy.
Yep, it's green
Green
in, gray out.
green in and gray out.
Mhm.
Perfect. Those are actually very common.
Mhm.
Go ahead and keep breathing in really, really slow and almost exaggerate like you're breathing in as much as possible and then breathe out even longer than your in breath. And notice what's happening with your body as you're what you're doing is you're expanding your veins and you're increasing the oxygen and the blood throughout everywhere in your body by increasing the breath. You're also expanding your brain because when we go into fight or flight, our brain contracts and it closes. One more really, really long, so deep breath and out. Go ahead and open up your eyes when you're ready. I
Mhm.
wonder if any of the listeners would have stopped what they were doing to do it. Hopefully not while they're driving, but um, one, the first thing that I noticed when you started talking about it is our brain neurologically, it has so many different neural networks that are connected. When one thing gets triggered, think about it like it's a file cabinet, it opens up, it will open up other file cabinets that are linked.
Mhm.
Those are fragmented. As one file cabinet is open, if it opens up another, it increases the negative energy. These I call emotional landmines in the body. So you get, let's say, 10 different emotional landmines in the body. You have 10 different files open in the brain. That is way too much. for the human body to try to comprehend what to do, what the problem is, let alone to find a solution. So the first thing is to identify what the heck is coming up right now. You did beautifully. Most people don't even get that far. And you're like, I got this from the ex. I got this from, this situation. I got this. And then I feel bad about this. And then this situation. So, especially women, we tend to get very overwhelmed because the right hemisphere of our brain is so detail oriented. We get overwhelmed because we see everything, which also means we feel everything. But that's the awareness that we need in order to get all those files cleaned up. That doesn't mean after we hang up today, you go about your day, you make the sale in a couple of days, and it never is there again. It's always there until the files are cleaned up, which means fully integrated. Next time, let's say you resolved it, right? Like you work on those feeder memories, which would be those situations that came up. As well as the other thing that I was saying, when we went back into whatever earlier memories that the first time that you felt that, that's called the float back technique. It's actually from a trauma-informed therapy, and the whole point is for us to neurologically link this present situation is actually being kind of emotionally lit on fire by something earlier. Could be an adult, could be a child memory. And there's thousands of memories that are linked, all of them being triggered at the same time. So our job is to integrate and work on them. Let's say you do that. The next time somebody lies or takes or tries, better yet, to take advantage of you, there won't be as much triggering or there won't be any triggering. That's the goal. And that's why I teach people, one, to identify what's coming up, two, to be able to sit in the discomfort of their emotions because they surface and they intentionally, they know what to do. We think about it and we end up suppressing it, dismissing it, cutting it off and moving on without our day. And then what happens is it gets stuck. We need to sit in it uncomfortably. I know it sucks, but they'll kind of like when you go to the bathroom, it's over, like you get rid of it. That's what our emotions want to do. They want to be dispersed. But the other thing is fighting the feeder memories. They're usually in earlier stages of our life. When you do all three of them, every time somebody triggers you, it gets less and less, and you become more and more empowered, and nobody can take advantage of you.
And see, I think it's interesting because I've never like the memory that came up, so it was sexual harassed by my boss, right? And so I'll just say it. We don't need to go into details, but so with that, like I've never thought about that until today. Like, it came in. And so usually it's some other memory, it's something. And so I think that that's also like realizing that things that you had suppressed or thought you were over or something, like, it could come back, and so, like, understanding that, and I have to do the follow-up after you, like, had me do all those breath. I felt like Moana on that wave that takes her up to land.
Yeah.
So, uh, so for people that thought, "Well, she's drowning," to feeling like I'm surfing the wave, and that's the part that I think I love that you're on today because it is so important that we as people, but specifically women, we have so many of those, and then add to it being a mom and those guilt emotions because my kid did this, or they didn't do this, or they look
Mhm.
like this, or they don't look like that, or they have this, you know, health issue, that you didn't want them to have because you want them to have the perfect life, and so the guilt on that as well, and so that I love what you do, and it is so needed, and I think that a lot of people just they're so unaware, and then they end up making bad decisions and marry someone they shouldn't.
Right? But whether it be our profession that doesn't align with us, our habits, our hobbies, whatever, our relationships. I was actually talking to a mom the other day, and mom guilt is one of the hardest things. I have worked with so many different people. One of the hardest things to recover from. And I feel like it's kind of like survivor's guilt. We don't want to let it go. And so that works against us. But I was talking to a woman and her son was trying to commit suicide a couple of times over the last several months. And because it's so emotionally hard for her, she's over time gotten more and more distant from that because she wants to detach in case he does actually do it. She's just trying to self preserve. But what happens is it ends up, the more we do that, because she used to do it in her past as well, it closes us off to feeling our own emotions, which then closes us off to connecting with people when they're feeling their emotions. And so we were discussing how people who they seem narcissistic, like a lot of times they're highly sensitive people and they did that. They closed themselves off because they were trying to protect them from something that was very, very harmful. and it works. It completely makes you go cold. You get very defensive and just shut that stuff down so you don't have to feel for those people because it's too much. But then it turns into situations where we want to open back up and we can't. So I appreciate you saying that. And thank you for your vulnerability too, because you said you weren't going to share it and you did.
Well, I went to this conference once, and this girl, like, this guy from Campers World, he's like the CEO. So he has some weird gift and he can actually read people. And so he knows this stuff. And so he had this girl get up on stage. And so I think it would have been so much more powerful had she opened up and shared something, because he's like, "Look, I know what it is." And he kind of whispered and she nods and stuff. So, like, he can read that in people. And had she taught or been vulnerable, I think a lot more of us probably would have even been more affected. And, because anytime you open up, somebody else is going through the same thing. And so, how do you deal with that? And what do you do?
Do you believe in synchronicities? Like whether it be the law of attraction or vibrations or things coming in divine timing, being connected? Yeah. So behind me, I have a book. This book, so yes, I'm in public speaking and leadership development, but it's called Surviving the Family. It was actually my first book. And it's a guide for women, adult women survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And it not only discusses what the family dynamic is, because it's not just an abuser,
Right.
it's the family system that needs to heal. And if not, it's going to be repeated. And that dysfunction goes from generation to generation to generation. And specifically, since our audience is primarily women, a lot of times it's in our generation, it's in our heritage. And so that sense of powerlessness and victimhood is so embedded into our DNA. Even if we weren't sexually abused, we end up in situations that resonate with the negativity that was passed down. And so it's kind of like I am in situations now where I get sexually harassed or I get abused or taken advantage of and I'm like, why am I don't want this. Why is this coming into my reality? It's actually because we need to reprogram ourselves. And sometimes it's not even yours.
That is so powerful because it's so true. The generational stuff. I didn't ever really believe that until I went to a structural integrationist. He's a massage therapist, but he deals with the structure. The
I love
first time we went, and he's like, "You have stuff from your great grandma." I'm like, "What the heck? This is so bogus, right? I'm not carrying genes from my great grandma that had this happen, you know?" But then I start looking around my family, and I'm like, I was the only one that did not have a baby out of wedlock, like, out of 4 generations, the only, and I'm talking cousins, like, keep going, it was crazy to think, "Wow, this is generational," and I think the other thing is, um, like, if you have been sexually molested or sexually abused as a child, sometimes, like, you don't even remember that until
yeah.
you're 50 years old and you have some trigger and you're like, "What the heck?" And so it's crazy how our body there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yep.
And yeah, there's some real truth to that. I'm totally gonna read your book. I'm gonna get it.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I would love your opinion about that. I used to be a huge fan, not that I'm not anymore, but I was definitely a groupie for Bessel van der Kolk, the author of The Body Keeps the Score. And that kind of got me very interested in the whole mind body connection because the body doesn't have words, it only has sensations. And since we don't comprehend that with our brain is like a decoding and a programming device, then we tend to completely dismiss what the body's screaming for. So when I was in the mental health field, I got my doctorate in natural health because I really wanted to study the mind body. And the amount of mental health issues that were unresolved, especially physical, sexual, violent traumas, they're so embedded in the body that that is the most autoimmune attracting energy and lack of love, stuck grief, those types of things for women usually manifest in breast cancer. So those types of things, our health is so interrelated with all this.
Yeah, if you had heard my story, I was diagnosed with MS, and then after I got divorced, 6 months later, the MS was gone. And we're talking spinal tap testing positive type stuff, not just, "Oh, I think you have it," you know? So our body, it really does. It is so connected, and we don't know it.
So with that, and I think most women are probably like ear to the speaker right now because of what we're talking about. Because women intuitively, we know. With you specifically talking about your spine and your marriage being connected, the spine is our core. And if we don't have support, it starts to get wanky and it starts to have disorders. And the longer we have in that situation that we have lack of support, the worse off the disorder. So it's like it progressively gets worse because we don't have that support.
Oh my gosh. Okay, like, our time is up, and I hate this, like, we're gonna have to
Oh,
talk later, but so, when I first got married, the second time, some things happened, and now I have this it's called POTS, right? And so I
mhm,
shake uncontrollably, and it looks like I'm having a
mhm,
seizure, I'm not. But my husband, like, he can go to and he goes literally right next to my spine, it's like a button. He can push the button, and it
mhm.
will stop. Usually. Now, sometimes I might start back up, he pushes again, he stopped but it's very interesting because, like, I had holes in my spine and they had to patch them and they had to do these little things, so a 45-minute shake attack or an hour and a half has turned into seconds, which is great, but it's so interesting, I've never heard somebody talk about the spine and how it's so connected, which totally makes sense because it's the nervous system and everything runs on that, so
And because, well, of course, we can stay connected and anybody else can reach out, to me as well. But because we're talking about how your health connects with your mental health for you specifically, and thank you so much again for your vulnerability because this show went straight into your stuff. So thank you. Because at the beginning of our talk, you were saying how you felt bad for those other people being taken advantage of. A lot of women or empaths, we take on the negativity of other people because we care. It's not in on purpose, but then we end up it's kind of like you fill that bucket with a whole bunch of negativity, but your stuff was already in it. So if you look up emotional clearings, you might need to find somebody who can do them, or you can reach out to me. I have a couple of friends, but it's energetic and it's emotional. But when you clear them, sometimes they're not yours.
and I believe that. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, God, this was beautiful for me, but thank
Yeah,
you. And I'm sure our listeners,
absolutely.
if they try that as well. But how would our listeners find you if they wanted to? Like, I want that to be done to me. Help me.
Sure, sure. Well, I'm actually redoing my website, so it says coming soon, but you can look up drjacquelinecampbell.com, and it should be live in the next couple of days. But you can also find me. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and it's Dr. Jacqueline Campbell, ND, as a naturopathic doctor, LPCS.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
And Unbreakable Moms, this is a whole different realm that I wasn't expecting to go to today, but healing yourself, what's going on inside your body is most likely connected to your brain and how you're feeling. And so that's the emotional intelligence that we're talking about is making sure that you are aligned in everything that you do because you have to find your happiness, your peace, your purpose. And if you can do that, I truly believe that, and pipe in if you want, Jacqueline, but you will be healthier. And if you don't, like you're going to continue to have some chronic issues going on. So go out and make it a day and reach out to Jacqueline because she's phenomenal. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.